and working very hard to identify various areas of need. The path is very wide of the storm itself. It's about 20 miles long. We estimate it could have been up to 2 miles in width itself. We flew over the schools and got to see the terrible destruction of the schools themselves, certainly the business community and the friends and neighbors that lost their homes that we were very sad about. I want to personally thank Administrator Fugate, who has joined us here with FEMA. They have done a superb job in working with our city and state and federal leaders here. We appreciate you, Administrator. We appreciate your very prompt response and answering our disaster declaration for our state and giving us approval on that. As you know, Administrator, not only did we have the storm that passed through yesterday, but we also had storms and loss of life and loss of homes and businesses on Sunday during the storm actually began to roll through the state of Oklahoma. So thank you for your assistance. I also had a second phone call a few moments ago from President Obama, once again reiterating that FEMA is here to bring any resources to bear to help us with any type of red tape that we might and several other cabinet secretaries have called also to express their thoughts and prayers and offer assistance. We appreciate all that FEMA is doing. And I would say a word to all the first responders, so many, fire, police, emergency personnel, the Office of Emergency Management Director Albert Ashwood and his team that have been coordinating on the state level. Thank you very, very much, and job well done to help so many people that are in need. This has been a big tragedy for the state, and it's not easy to handle something of this magnitude, but I know that many people have worked around the clock and have put in extremely long hours under very dangerous circumstances helping our fellow Oklahomans, and we're very grateful for all of you. I want to give you a couple of updates on some things. We have what's called a unified command led by the Moore Fire Department. They have done a superb job in working with their local officials here and certainly with our state and federal officials. They have a plan. They're implementing the plan, and they have been since yesterday. I've been to their command headquarters. I've seen them organize their various teams. They have the map of the city itself, both Moore and Oklahoma City, in which they've been sending out various teams and determining what the most important need is at that particular moment. So thank you and a job well done to the command team itself. At 9 a.m. this morning, I brought together all of my cabinet secretaries from my various heads of my agencies for the state of Oklahoma. We had a thorough meeting going through each division of our state entities, talking about the current needs and challenges facing the state of Oklahoma. We want to encourage anyone that is currently still in need in our state to call 1-800-621-FEMA if you need services, if you need some type of help, and if a community needs some help or a department needs some help. We've also set up a state website that people can go to get current information, to look at current services that are available, and be able to respond to the state government. It is the website is okstrong.ok.gov, and that website will be updated throughout the day and throughout the time period until we get through this. There will also be legislation that we are working on right now in the Oklahoma Senate and the House that will be a legislative vehicle to be able to tap our state rainy day savings account to set up an emergency fund for the state to be able to match federal dollars and to also help our local communities who are in need of services and funding right now. A lot of the communities are tapping their local resources. Certainly, a lot of personnel is working overtime, and there are a lot of departments that are having to utilize some of their funding. And it'll also help us with matching some of the individuals who will apply for the federal assistance on the individual basis that have lost things and to help reimburse the local communities. I've also signed an executive order that will waive the weight limits for utilities that are coming into the state and working within the state. on weight and height to help get power back restored and get other essential utility services flowing again. We have many different areas throughout the state that are without electricity, and of course we've been without water in this local area of the city itself, and water pressure is actually low in Oklahoma City too, because one of our power supplies has affected one of the water plants. I am aware that we have some state employees that have been affected by the tornadoes throughout the state, not only this one but the ones in previous days. And so for state employees that have lost their homes, and I'm not aware if any of them have lost any loved ones, but if they'll work through their agency head, we are going to give our state employees who have been affected 15 days of administrative leave, sick leave, to be able to get back on their feet and to take care of their personal needs. I visited with our Secretary of Health and Human Services. We have been working with our local hospitals and our nursing associations and also the state funeral directors, and we have plenty of capacity in our hospitals to take those that have been injured. We estimate there have been around 237 injuries so far that we know of that have shown up at our various facilities. We also are working to set up mental health counseling centers in our various shelters, and we'll be working to establish a 1-800 number for those who need some counseling that have lost loved ones or have just faced some stress from all that's going on. We don't have any firm numbers on the number of deaths that we have experienced. We know that there are people and bodies that have been taken to the medical examiner's office, but we have also heard that there may be bodies that have been taken to local funeral homes. And so we are working real hard right now to try to get a more accurate count of the loss of life, and we hope to have better numbers on that. Our Department of Transportation has pulled together over 400 people throughout the state that are on standby to bring in various bulldozers and equipment when the time comes that we need to begin the process of having to clear the roads better, certainly to keep those safe. And we will be certainly allowing people to do what they need to do to get their valuable possessions through the lost property that they have experienced, but we will also have the resources available to be able to begin clearing at some point in time in the future. OG&E is working very hard to restore power. We have had 38,000 residents at this point in time that are without power, 20,000 and more in Oklahoma City. And so we're working to get that power back up. One of the other challenges that we have faced throughout this time period has been problems with communications, with cell service, and the telephone lines that have been down. And AT&T and Verizon have set up some mobile units to allow better communication for us. The Department of Agriculture and Forestry has also brought in heavy equipment to help when the time comes with debris clearing. And I just want to add that for those that are calling and offering help and resources, please make contact with our various charities through the Red Cross for donations or volunteer help, and also with the Salvation Army. They're the best source right now to give information to. And I'll turn it over here to Administrator Fugate. Thank you so very much for coming to Oklahoma. We really appreciate your help.
Thank you, Governor. Well, let's be clear. FEMA's job is to support the team, and the team's been working since the tornado struck. Local fire, police, volunteers, Governor's called out the National Guard. The primary response to this disaster is being led by the governor, the local officials, and the first responders. Our job is to support. And it's unfortunate that we are once again seeing what tornadoes can do. But you're also seeing what the investment in public safety and the commitment to training and exercise does when the disaster does strike. So let's get some practical stuff out here for the public. Those people that have been infected, you've had losses due to the storm, go ahead and call 1-800-621-FEMA. The governor asked last night, and the president made the declaration. This was a pretty quick turnaround, but it's because of the devastation and the evidence of how bad it was. that the President concurred and issued that last night. So it's important that people start registering. We know a lot of people are staying with friends and family. Some of them are probably even staying in their cars right now. We can provide some assistance, rental assistance. We want to give people a place to stay. And so the first step is to register so we can start that assistance. So 1-800-621-FEMA, or they can go with their mobile device. If they have any connectivity outside of the heavy hit areas, they can go to disasterassistance.gov and register online as well. The second thing is, still got a lot of congestion on the cell systems. You still have a lot of towers down because of power outages. Unless it's an emergency, use text messaging, stay off the phones, allow people that need to get through. You can relieve a lot of congestion just by using text messaging. And if it's not an emergency, just stay off the phones and the system comes back up. Third thing, let people know you're okay. One of the challenges with this type of event is because the devastation is so bad, it's difficult to get a handle on how many people may be missing. So if you did live in the areas, you weren't impacted, let people know you're okay, so we're not looking for people that we don't need to be looking for. As the governor points out, they're going through that debris, and we're going to keep working until everybody's found. But you can help just by letting people know you're okay. Red Cross does have a safe and wellness site where you can check in. You can also check on people. So let people know you're okay. The last thing the governor said, if you're not in the area and you want to help, the best way to help is to give generously to the volunteer organizations that are active in disaster. There's a variety of folks from Red Cross, Salvation Army, Southern Baptist that do great work. They can definitely use your contributions. But if you're not in the area, the best way to help is to send your help through those organizations. And that's the lesson we've learned time and time again, that stuff isn't as great as cash when it comes to the longer term needs for a lot of folks that have lost everything. Thank you.
My name is Albert Ashwood. I'm State Director of Emergency Management. I'd just like to reiterate what Craig said. Whether it's the federal government or the state government, we have a very simple job. That's to support our local jurisdictions, to make sure that they have everything that we have to offer to help them get through this emergency phase of this disaster and to help them to effectively respond. We will also begin recovery, as has already been stated. We're looking at setting up some assistance centers, or an area that we can have many assistance centers to help out with various individuals and where they can go to. Some of the challenges that we're facing have to do especially with getting the message out. Communication. It's very easy for us to stand up here and talk about mobile apps that we have, or talk about calling 1-800-621-FEMA, or going to websites. But if you've lost your electricity and your phone is dead and you don't know where to go and what to do, we're going to have to go to a little old school method. So we're going to be looking at flyers, things like that we can get the message out to people who are in the debris and trying to stay with their property and trying to get back into their property, so we can get that message to them. We'll be working on that throughout the day, supporting the local jurisdictions and making sure that they have everything they need. I'd like to introduce at this time Fire Chief Moore. Please come on up, sir.
My name is Gary Bird. I'm the Fire Chief for the City of Moore. And just some updated information. We kept over 200 responders out in the field last night. We stayed at the school overnight, going through the school, and we stayed in several different locations back and forth, changing men out. And we had to pull off several times because of the weather and the lightning, but then we went back out. We are out. We started with the primary search yesterday and the secondary search. We made it through, I will say, make it through today for sure, and the second and third time we will be through every damaged piece of property in this city at least 3 times before we're done, and we hope to be done by dark tonight. And I want to thank everyone that has come in to help from all over Oklahoma and all over the nation to help the city of Moore. Thank you.
Jerry Spilling, Chief of Police here in Moore. Again, I want to thank the other agencies. We just could not have done this without them, and continue to do this without them. We have 75 static posts that we have officers stationed at, and we obviously couldn't do that on our own without these other agencies. The one thing I just want to emphasize is that we have to have people out of those affected areas so that we can do our work and get it done sooner, so that we can shrink that perimeter and let people back in. And the other issue is, please try to stay away from 4th Street and 19th Street when you're driving. It's just bogging us down. We've got traffic jams. If you don't belong in the area, please stay away from those areas. Santa Fe is the same way. Telephone road. So those have caused some big issues for us, and if we could just get the public to cooperate, there isn't anything that you can do there at this time, and there are a lot of safety issues there. So if you will give us time, let the search and rescue take place, we can get you in there a lot quicker.
Ashton Joe of Oklahoma, and I just want to say, first of all, it's an honor to support the first responders, and that's what we're here for, is to support the first responders and fill gaps in the capabilities that they have with either our resources or the resources we can reach out and gather to support this effort. And it's just been a phenomenal effort thus far, but it's going to be a long time before we totally heal from this and recover. But we're here to support.
Mr. Thompson.
I'm Mike Thompson. I'm Governor Fallon's Cabinet Secretary for Safety and Security. For the sake of brevity, I'll echo what the police chief said. If you don't have a reason to be in the affected area, please avoid it. We want to be sensitive to the people who are looking for their loved ones and loved ones and trying to look at the area here, but it just slows down the recovery efforts. So if you don't need to be here, please avoid this area and let us do our work. But we're going to be here as long as we need to get this community back. And we're going to be very sensitive to the people that were affected by this loss, but we do know collectively we've got a tough job ahead of us, and we're going to be here to help the community as long as it takes.
Mayor Lewis.
First of all, I'd like to say thank you for everyone who's here today. I apologize, the air conditioner's not working on generator power, so just with us. I have a lot of thank yous to say. First and foremost is the President of the United States, who sent me a FEMA director. I couldn't do without him. The governor, who's been here on site ever since this happened, and I just appreciate her and her staff. All of the city employees, all the other agencies that have come from all over. We appreciate their support and assistance. I want to say thank you to the city of Oklahoma City, the city of Norman. Without them, we couldn't do it. And this has been quite an experience. I was the actual mayor here in May 3rd, 1999. So this is not my first rodeo with this. But it doesn't get any easier, especially with the loss of lives. And with that, I'll turn it over to Mayor Cornett, who will answer questions in a little bit. Thank you.
First, I want to commend the city of Moore and the resources that they've put into this. This could easily have overwhelmed an ordinary group of public safety officials, and they have not only been up to the task, but I think they have performed valiantly and were immediately on the scene. There are a number of organizations that probably deserve some level of mention today, including the media, whose technology provided excellent warnings and no doubt saved hundreds of lives. I was able to tour the site this morning, and one of the takeaways that a person receives in that situation is that no one could possibly have survived this, and yet we know they did. We know people crawled out of that rubble, and we're talking levels of debris as far as we're talking about cars that are upside down and school books and children's toys and trees without bark. This was the storm of storms. And the fact that so many lives have been spared, I think, is a great testament to the technology, the media, and the public safety officials whom have been mentioned, largely from the city of Moore and the city of Oklahoma City, but larger other municipalities and county officials as well. I do have one bit of new information to pass along. It appears that we have the power restored to the water treatment plant, if not by now, in the next few minutes. It takes a little bit of while for the pressure to build up in the system, so residents should expect water power to increase throughout the afternoon. We could be at full usage later on today. Wouldn't be a bad idea for them to use less water than is necessary for the next few minutes or next few hours, but the system should be back up and running very, very soon.
Again, I want to spread my thanks to Governor Fallon and her staff, and of course to the federal officials who have come here in our hour of need and been with us. Thank you all.
Chief City with Oklahoma City Police Department. As usual, the response has been overwhelming by all the partner agencies in public safety, all the volunteer agencies. It's been state, local, federal. It's just overwhelming as usual. We've come to expect that. Obviously, we've dealt with this in the past. Right now, Oklahoma City in and of itself, which has a much smaller task than Moore has, the area that's been affected is only about 8 square miles, and that's with moderate to really extreme damage. There's about 4 square miles now that we actually have cordoned off. That area is cordoned off with people only. Right now at this point, we're only allowing homeowners to go into those areas, at least try to get to their homes to see if they can salvage some things that they may be able to. But those are the only ones that are being allowed in those areas. And we will be in that area. We'll be in those areas, securing those areas for quite some time, probably for a week to 2 weeks, just to protect property and make sure everybody has the opportunity to get back to their property and do what they need to do. In Oklahoma City, we've had a confirmed 4 deaths. I think overall, the medical examiner has actually confirmed 24 deaths. But 4 of those are in Oklahoma City. The remainder would be in Moore. Obviously, as the governor spoke, there could be obviously others in the coming days. The search is still going on heavily in Moore because we have such a larger area to cover. So we could expect more possibly. So we have a 24 right now. There could be more. All the people that have been reported missing, we had initially last night about 48. All of those have been actually found, except for I think there's a few left in Moore that they're working on to try to locate that have not. If there is still somebody out there, if there's anybody out there, citizens that have not found loved ones, we'd ask them to go ahead and call us at 297-1129 and at least report that once you have the opportunity maybe to locate them. Again, I want to thank the media for their cooperation and all the state, local agencies that have worked together to really make such a tragic event probably handled as well as possible. So, thank you.
Keith Bryant, Fire Chief, Oklahoma City Fire Department. Just to add to what Chief City just explained to you about the operations in Oklahoma City, as the storm was forming yesterday afternoon, we activated the state's Urban Search and Rescue Task Force, and so we actually had those assets and those personnel assembling as the storm was approaching Oklahoma City.